Welcome back. And today's guest is previously incarcerated Mendeecees. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a lot of guests that come on, and you are by far one of my favorite. I am a fan.
Thank you. I
Yes,
appreciate that.
yes. So thank you. But I'm gonna just cut through the chase. I'm just gonna go ahead and get into why you're here.
Okay.
So let's talk about before the headlines. Let's talk about from the very beginning when you got an indictment.
Right.
I want to know what led you down that path. Like, what are the events that led up to you getting indicted? If you'd like to share that, so some of the younger viewers and people that are experiencing indictments of incarceration could know what are the events that led up to that.
I mean, before I got indicted, I can't sit here and act like I was innocent, and I was in the streets. But what happened is, you have people that catch cases in different states and other places, and they basically give up information to get out. I was one of the person that they used to get out. Now, I necessarily didn't do business with them, but I was wrong in other areas.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the feds. That's the way they work. Hearsay. I don't know if anybody's been to the feds before, but hearsay is a crime.
Yes, it is.
Right? So, before I was oblivious to laws. Like, I'm like, hearsay, there's no wiretap, no buy money,
Right.
no this, no that.
Right.
But you have to battle that out in court. Pick 12.
Yeah. Yeah. And people don't understand how conspiracies work.
Right.
But once you get caught up in a conspiracy, that's the easiest way to convict someone.
Right.
And the feds use that, and that's why they have a 99% conviction rate.
Right.
So I just want to know, like, what specific moments did you realize that it had gone too far, and some of the consequences as you were like, the indictment comes down, everyone knows that once you get an indictment, you have to move through those different facets of things, right?
Right.
In your mind, what were you feeling and thinking at that moment when that indictment said, hey, United States versus Mendeecees?
Shit. So I never been in a situation like this, right? And I have friends that have been through. So one of the things that was on my mind is like, okay, I'm going to jail, but for how long? Right? All right. How much time I got to do?
Well, a lot of people like myself, when I got my time, they told me 71 months. Right. I almost passed out because all I heard was 71, not thinking it was months, but even though it's a long time. So when that number came and hit you, like how much time you had to do, what was that feeling
so
like?
when the judge handed down, I was hoping to get 60 months, right?
Okay.
And he gave me 98 months. And it was like a bittersweet thing, right? I was happy I didn't get 10, but I was like, I could do 8.
You could do 8.
Yeah, so I was yo, believe it or not, I was smiling, right? And I remember my wife looking at me like, why the fuck is you smiling? And I was like, well, shit, 8 is better than 10.
You're right about that.
Because what I did was, when you get the chart and you start counting the good days,
yes,
the program,
yes,
the halfway house,
yes,
I said, yo, that's 3.5 more years.
Yes.
I already had like 17 months in. So it was like, oh, that's 3.5 more years. That's in my mind, it's crazy, but I'm like, that's doable.
Well, I don't think any time for anybody is doable, but I love the way that you handle that mentally, because it takes a toll on your mental when you're looking at time that you have to be away from your family.
Right. I mean, that is a hard part, right? That was one of the hardest parts of my life, is watching my kids grow up through the visiting rooms. And I felt horrible about that, and I vowed to change my life. Even before that happened, I didn't need prison to tell me to change my life, but it was definitely like a humble experience. And I think sometimes God put things in your life to humble you, because you couldn't tell me nothing before that.
So you're on Love and Hip Hop,
right?
Your family and fans are watching you all over the world. You're in a spotlight. Is there any pressures that happen during the time of indictment and the time of your incarceration that made you want to just continue to live the lifestyle of what it was? Like, before you got on Love and Hip Hop, I'm sure you had a lifestyle.
Right.
Again, friends out doing whatever. So after you got this, did you feel that you had to still maintain that lifestyle for the world to see, because you were on this very, the show?
So I really didn't care about the lifestyle, right? I was more concerned with the family structure, my children, and basically freedom, right? So I was the lifestyle. I felt like I always had it. Like is like I wasn't new at success, so it was like you know, I didn't really care.
Okay.
So because it was a few seasons I didn't want to be on TV. Like this, I was like, nah, I'm cool. There's a just stick your head out there. I was like, what? Never. Like I remember it was times that Mona and Yandy was like, you got to get on TV. We got to get you. And I really was forced because she got pregnant. So everybody wanted to know who she was pregnant by.
Right.
So it was like, oh man, damn. So that was, I was forced into it.
Gotcha. So it wasn't anything that you really wanted to do.
Hell
it was
no.
kind of
I was never a person like, yo, sign me up for TV. Nah,
right.
that wasn't me.
So you and Yandy decided to get married on TV.
Right.
And the show, showed your life. It shows her life, and your family life on the show continues, correct? So did you ever watch the show while you were in prison? Like,
yeah, I watched it.
You did?
So one place I went to, they didn't have it. But time I got to a camp, they had it, and I watched it. And some of the things I watched was like, I didn't really like the way it was done. So I didn't want to like upset myself, so I didn't watch it.
Oh. Well, I know myself being incarcerated, like my family, I felt they were moving on without me.
Oh, I had a cell phone. I seen that every day.
Okay.
So I was in a camp, right? I had an iPhone, and every day I used to look on the iPhone and seeing people move on with their life, and then it was I would say it was bittersweet, right? I was getting starting to feel some type of way because I wasn't there to enjoy these moments.
Right.
So and then I was seeing my kids have these moments and seeing her travel the world and see things and I said, Dad, she's doing all these things without me. We're supposed to be doing these things together.
And I'm gonna ask you this, and I just know that the transparency of people really do want to know. How did you really feel about that? I know you're proud. Your wife has done numerous strides. Like, she is that bitch. No disrespect.
No, I understand.
And as a man, most men are the breadwinners. They're the head of household. So when you're away, she kind of took on that role. So I really want to know, like, just be transparent. How did that make you feel?
So I was proud, right? Because when you with someone, you want them to do good. This is not be competing with each other. This is not, as a man, I gotta be doing better.
Right.
Especially I seen her grind. I seen her potential. I know what I was attracted to. I was attracted to a beautiful hustler. I wanted someone that hustled just like me. So I felt like to see her blossom out to what she's became or was becoming. I was standing like I was rooting for her. I'm like I'm one of the most proud person that she could have because we got kids. Right. So she's taking some responsibility off my hands.
Right.
So she's actually making it easier for me.
Right.
So now when she takes some responsibilities off my hands, I can do for other people in my family, like my mother, my brother, my siblings and stuff like that, because we could spread it out and create balance, right? Because this household successful, I could try to make other people's household and try to be successful.
Right. So now I'm going to kind of go into switching gears back to when you were incarcerated. We having the silk sheets, a nice king size bed, eating what we want, being able to do what we want. How was that first initial going inside, and how did you adjust to that?
I never adjust to it. I don't think I ever adjust to the bed and the sheets and the pillows. Is so
you
much.
Ain't like that?
What? Listen, let me tell you something, right? I come from a king size bed to getting like a kid's. My kid's bed was they wouldn't even sleep on that shit. But what happened? I never got good sleep. For me to get good sleep, I had to stay up as long as I could stay up to a point where I'm so tired.
Right.
I could sleep sitting up or standing up. So because it's like laying on the floor like an iron.
I definitely
like
know the
the
uncomfortable.
plastic mats are not mats.
No.
So
I don't know what they call
yeah,
them or
and,
what
and,
they
you,
have
and if
in
you
the
try
inside.
to double your mattress,
Oh, you get in trouble.
You get in trouble for it. You try
Yeah.
to create an extra pillow,
You
you're
get
going
in
to get in
trouble
trouble for it.
Yeah.
So I never got comfortable in that aspect of sitting in prison.
So were there services? I mean, no, I know in the women facility they really didn't have a lot going on, like things to educate yourself or things to actually, help you reacclimate. So while you were there, did that facility offer you anything to educate?
Well, I took every program in every facility that I was at because I thought it was going to get me home early.
Mm.
Right? So they told me, as long as you take programs, when you time you go to the halfway house, your caseworker look at your programs you took. So I wanted my sheet to look like I listen, I'm reformed. I took every and besides, I just wanted to keep myself busy, and I wanted to learn something while I was there. So I didn't just want to just be there passing time. So I wanted to use this time valuable as much as possible.
Well, I thought all the programs were bullshit.
Some of them was bullshit, but the one program I did get something out of is the drug program that took a year off.
Oh,
did you take
God.
that?
Yes, I did.
So the being rational and irrational and the thinking and all that, it was common sense.
I'm laughing, but that stuff was not no joke.
Did you have to stand up and give people feedback?
Man,
I ain't never give so many people feedback in my life. They used to say, Mr. Harris, give them feedback. I'm like, nah, you basically want me to tell on them.
That's all it is.
I was like, yo, I can't do that.
Man, I tell you, that is the most vigorous program. I think it's mentally, because it's putting you in positions where they're challenging you to kind of give up some of your street ways. And I was told by one of my counselors, like, you know what, you'll be back because you won't break street code. And I'm just like, street code and who I am to myself are two different things. But again,
it's so crazy, right? I was just having a conversation with somebody about street codes yesterday, and I told them that because a lot of people do shit for the internet.
Yes.
Right? And I don't come from that internet era. So I'm like, when you come from a place where you brought on integrity and morals, I can't conform to this internet shit, right? I don't beef on the internet. Like I'm a grown man. I'm not gonna go back and forth and get into a confrontation on the internet. That's not manly like.
So do you think the RDAP program is really a helpful program? Do you implement what you learned? Because I find myself RDAPing people all the time.
No, I don't.
You don't RDAP?
I don't, because we in real life and people don't like feedback.
That is true.
Right? You give somebody feedback, somebody might want to fight. And
especially if you're gonna be honest about it.
Listen, I'm not here to pull nobody cold. Everybody choose to live their life how they choose to live it. And I'm if it's not a loved one or someone I hold dear to my heart, if they want to crash out, that's on you. Sometimes people learn through experience.
That is true.
Experience is the best teacher.
That is true.
I can't be drilling this in your head and you go do it. Like I'll be wanting more for people than they want for themselves. But at the end of the day, I have to focus on what's in front of me.
That is true. So, do you think when you were in there, were people treating you different because of your celebrity status?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, I guess my question was it a blessing or a burden, or was it both?
It was both, right? I had guys in there that, I ain't a groupie. Then I had guys in there that was playing security. So if
for you to put money on their books.
It wasn't even about money, right? Because we all had short term. So they was playing chess. They was thinking for the future.
Yeah. If I be good to him while he's in here now, he ain't gonna forget about me and when we get on the street.
Right. Right. And then I had COs. I got the first day I got to a camp, cop hand me, yo, here's a cell phone. And if you want some sex, you could just have a girl meet you right here. I'll let you do your thing.
Oh my!
And I'm like, he handed me a cell phone. I was kind of nervous to take it. Like, yeah. And it's so crazy. Me and that CO have a relationship to this day because, he Popeye's chicken. Man, if I tell you how I was living in prison, they be like, yo, he cheated.
All I can tell you is
cheated.
I could definitely relate.
He cheated.
No.
They'd be like, yo, give him some more time. He didn't. But I learned, right? It didn't
Yeah.
take prison to learn behavior patterns. It
You're
didn't
right.
take prison to tell me to get my act together. It took my kids,
Hmm.
right? It took my kids coming in visiting rooms saying things like, "Yo, I don't want nothing for Christmas. I just want you home." So when you're an active dad in your
Mm-hmm.
children's life and you hold that much impact, is nothing, is no money or anything materialistic things you can give them that's gonna fill that void and that placement of your absence.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm still repairing some of the damage of me being incarcerated with my children.
For how long?
First time I did 6 years, well, 5.5, with, and this time I did, the last time I did 24 months. So I don't have any more left in me. So nobody
Right,
has to worry
right,
about that. But
right.
it's still, I'm still repairing, from that damage. So I'm going to switch gears again and I'm going to go back to your wife. What role did she play with your reentry? How did she support you, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and coming back in from that? Because I'm sure you were a different man, even though you guys spoke, talked.
Right,
I'm sure you were different.
right. So in the beginning, it was rough, right? Because I have to learn the new her. She have to learn the new me,
Right,
right? As well as my kids.
right,
So I have to come in and assess the whole, my household. I got to see how she been parenting. I've been seeing how she. I felt like I just couldn't come in and just change everything.
correct.
She had a system going, so I have to look at her system and see if we could create some synergy.
Mm-hmm.
And what can I do to add, not to track or just to make things better. And with me and her,